What's happening, everybody? It's Fantasy NBA Today Live. It's the hottest stories of Week 3. It's the 5 minutes of total BS at the beginning before we get into the real stuff. I am a freshly bathed Dan Bespris, and I am joined by the founder, El Arquitecto. I haven't dropped that one on you in a little bit. The great Aaron Brewski. What's up, my man?
Maybe because I'm not architecting much these days.
Well, draw a picture.
I'm not an artist. Well, I'm an artist, actually. I'm a sandwich artist. I used to work at Subway as a youth.
Hey, did anybody ever order a Subway sandwich like this? I would like turkey on white with no cheese. I would like one strip of mayo down the middle. Just one. Real quick. Don't you let that mayo come back the other direction. I would like the normal amount of mustard. I would like lettuce. I would like 5 pickles. Does this sound like Dan yet?
Well, it does sound like Dan, and I'm a fellow no cheese person, so that doesn't throw me off. But back in the day, they didn't have the little squirt tubes. It was all about an old-fashioned, paddle.
That's right. They did used to have a spatula there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that. Holy hell. I never went to Subway when I was younger, but once I started working in minor league ball, it was the only thing near hotels on the road.
We were the worst Subway
I believe that.
in the history of Subways. I worked hard, don't get me wrong. I was the manager within 2 years.
What are you fiddling with down there? What do you got going on?
It's the earbuds.
Oh.
I got earbud issues trying to detangle. Don't bug me, Dan.
I saw you. I was going to give you the, that was either Black Sheep or Tommy Boy. I think it was Black Sheep when the lady asked Dana Carvey, "You playing a little pocket pool?" And then he flips her off. Yeah.
Well, that would be awkward for this show.
Yeah.
Great films.
Yes, thank you for that.
The Tommy Boy and what was the other one? Tommy Boy and
Black Sheep was the other one.
Black Sheep,
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Black Sheep, one where the governor, his brother, was in trouble or whatever. That one was, I believe Gary Busey was in that one, right? Was he the?
Wasn't he was like the military guy.
Yeah, he was like the hill fella.
Real stretch for him,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, so he really had to play a big role in that one. So we're going to be talking about basketball in a minute. For those of you uninitiated, Brew and I like to catch up a tiny bit at the beginning of the show. It's when I make sure all of the technical things are worked out before we go to the truly live grind here. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, just kind of survival here, right? Third week of the season. We're making sure we got all the stuff for premium subscribers. We got all the stuff for free folks. How can people move up to that premium level, Brew? Maybe I'll do a promo here at the beginning.
I'm so glad you asked, Dan.
Yeah, I am very interested. Can I get this for 2 easy payments? What's shipping and handling on that?
Well, Dan, now that you mention it, folks can get the premium membership on hoop-ball.com for roughly $30, depending on whether or not Dan has arm wrestled me into offering it for way less.
Yay, more coupons.
Yeah, so Dan, you're the victor. You're the popular fun guy.
That's right.
I'm the mean, gotta charge you more guy. And no, you go on, you click go premium, and then you read the great marketing that we have, and then you sign on the dotted line.
That's right. You sign on the dotted line. I'm a fun guy like Kawhi Leonard is a fun guy.
Oh, wait. You're a fun guy. Kawhi Leonard's a fun guy. Like, we're all fun. Like, Kawhi has got to be fun with that laugh. And I'm going to probably have a little tear right now if we even, just thinking about the NBA on NBC song, the John Tesh song with Kawhi laughing. I'm going to have a moment, and I can't have a moment on camera.
You gotta. My college roommate
cry on camera in front of you guys.
Do you remember the SNL skit of John Tesh and his brother, who I don't know if this is a real person or not. I assume he's not, but it was who's the deep voiced one from SNL who was in Horrible Bosses? Jason Sudeikis. And he played John Tesh, and I forget who his brother was in that particular episode. It was one of the late the 2005 to 2010 realm, I think, and they were pitching the NBA on NBC song to NBC execs, but it had words to it, and it was very strangely done. But I would suggest that those that love the NBA and NBC go watch that 4-minute SNL skit.
Also, you can get a live version on YouTube of John Tesh performing the song.
He's into it, man. He gets into it.
Oh yeah. So at the beginning, he gets the crowd like clapping, and then he fake dribbles like you can't make this stuff up. And then he like runs to the piano.
I love the NBA. All right, let's do a show. I'm going silent for 5. Everybody ready?
I'm going on strike.
This website's going to be in real trouble. I have hit the record button. We are officially going now. It's Fantasy NBA Today live. Fun Shirt Friday, except I'm, just wearing my fun hoopball shirt. It is also being recorded, so many of you are hearing it on the traditional channels, but as I would say every week, I think I usually do, if you're listening recorded style, come join us for the live show next time. We're Fridays. We're usually in the late morning or very early afternoon Pacific time. We're covering all the stuff that happened over the previous week. We're taking questions from the YouTube chat room. That's folks like you who just can come over and navigate to a YouTube page. You literally don't need to download anything. You just go to a link and you can type in a question, and if it's not hyper-specific, we'll probably answer that joint on air. But for the second time now this morning, since we like to do a little warm up the crowd, it's like, it's like we're coming out before our actual set. For the second time this morning, I say, good day to you, Mr. Aaron Brewski, who I called the architect earlier and he yelled at me for it.
I'm grumping out on you right now, Dan.
I know. I got to bring up something that's going to make you happy. So I'm going to try to...
What's going to be? Let's see. Does Dan know what will make me happy?
Aaron, can you tell me about Buddy Hield?
Did I
get it right?
I don't own enough of Buddy Hield. I can't take the credit that goes to Seth. What's Seth's last name? Seth
Klein? No, Matt Smith, I think you're talking about, right?
Yeah, Matt Smith. Sorry. I don't have enough coffee, guys. He had all the Buddy Hield. And the projections over at Basketball Monster had Buddy Hield so high. And I was like, I can't do it. We were high. Like, I think they'll be number 1 on Buddy Hield. We'll be number 2. Buddy Hield's doing great. So, yeah, I mean, and what the Kings are in like an actual story amongst basketball people, not Sacramento people. They're an actual story. It's really interesting stuff. It's fun to watch local Kings fans enjoy themselves for once.
Yeah, well, so I like your tinfoil hat stuff on Jaeger from last year. Do you think he was playing Zebo as a tank move?
I honestly don't know. I wouldn't put it past him. I'll put it to you that way, because he has this relationship with media where he can really dig his claws in, and it's the fact that everybody trumpeted that Zach Randolph was good last year, to me, is master level media control. Like, watching Zach Randolph play last year was like watching
was it like a rec leaguer? He looked like a rec leaguer.
It was something out of and then having everybody say, but Zach Randolph is pushing the Kings to victory. It's just like the dissonance there. But that's what you get sometimes in smaller media markets.
So what about the other guys on the Kings this year now? We've got Bogdan as a potential stat. What do you think he could do when he comes back?
I'm just excited to see what they can do, because they're running, and they're going to keep doing that. I mean, if you told me right now that Zach Randolph wouldn't play for the rest of the year, I think they're good for 35 wins. And if you had told me that he wasn't going to play at all before the season, I would have bet under on them, and I would have been way more aggressive in terms of them actually figuring it out. Because what happened last year, and what's always happened, it seems, with Jaeger and the Kings, is these veterans come in and completely jack up any sort of developmental process. I'm having these conversations on Twitter with Kings fans. They just want to hear how great everybody is and how great this process has been. But you'd have Zach Randolph sitting in the middle of these games, just creating a stagnant situation where nobody was doing anything good. Sure, you can watch a car wreck and be like, I don't want to be a part of that. You can learn basketball from the sidelines, a la Ben Simmons during his injury year, but you're not learning at an optimal level. You're not even close. You might even be developing bad habits. So, to see this year where these guys are really, Fox is a legit handful for the rest of the league for the rest of his career. He'll definitely be an all-star. He's the mental game he's playing right now. He's being patient in the pick and roll in ways that high-end point guards are. He's pressing an advantage. He knows he can blow by anybody almost. And so he presses that advantage. He makes the defense commit. He backs off. He resets. He makes the right pass. And he's pulling from three off the dribble. And whether his numbers aren't great with the shooting, but like he looks comfortable with that shot, and it's only going to get better. So you add Bogdan to this, where those three, him and Buddy Hield, are just running up and down the floor and making plays. And you got Willie Cauley-Stein, who sort of makes it all happen. He makes it possible. And teams right now, Bielitsa is this, first of all, he's a definite fantasy asset. Wish I had moved on him sooner. Didn't, whatever, it happens. And there's a lot of regression that is going to come. He's shooting about 60% from deep. So that's not going to happen. So the only way that balances out to a reasonable number, given the volume and the types of threes that he's taking, he's going to have a 20 to 30% stretch on high volume. That's going to really test whether or not he can play big minutes in those games. That's right around the corner. So it's going to be very hard for owners to hold during that time, because the steal and the block numbers are also fluky as well. There's a theory there that because of the nature of these up and down games, some of them no defense is played. Players are just going in there, challenging them, trying these crazy shots. He's a target on defense because he can't slide his feet, but he's got good timing. And I think he could walk into steal and block totals, but it's not really what he's done over his career. But him in the 4 slot for this offense gives spacing for Fox, as well as Buddy Hield and Bogdan Bogdanovic. And Willie Cauley-Stein's playing enough defense to make it all palatable. So, I mean, I was looking at some Orlando Magic stuff from last year, just trying to get a sense for the last team that nobody expected to start off hot. I think they're better than that squad. But it was almost like the article was written. You could just Control F and replace Orlando Magic. I mean, they were talking about Aaron Gordon stretching the floor, hitting 60% of his threes, and the pace that the Magic were playing at, highlighting all of that. And of course, Frank Vogel is no longer there, and they shortly, after their fast start, went on to lose a lot of basketball games.
I don't think the Magic want to hear you replacing Aaron Gordon with Nemanja Bjelica, but that is what you were saying in that story. What, from a numbers standpoint, do you think Bogdan can do? Is there room for him, really?
There really is. I mean, you look at the box score from last night, they scored like 140 points, and it was funny. Like, you didn't even see a huge distribution of those numbers because Fox had such a big night. So if you normalize that, and you say, what if the Kings add a good player in Bogdan and they play small and just stop playing Justin Jackson? They rely on, Iman Shumpert, as a 3. He's, got issues, but, he's played well for the most part to start off the year. Like, they can be much more effective with Bogdan Bogdanovic. It's funny to get bullish on the Kings.
See, I made you happy. You see what I did there? I tricked you into it.
People think I'm a Kings fan. It's hilarious.
No, but you're a guy who believed in some of these assets.
Well, I believed in Hield and I believed in Fox. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm actually more excited just about kind of the general performance of our teams. In the National Fantasy Basketball Championship, out of 7 teams, 6 of mine are in the top 5.
Outstanding.
So that's that. And after suffering, the Chris Dunn injury hit pretty much all of them. And Bobby Portis hit all of them. I know there's teams that have had worse. James Harden hasn't been good, so far. So,
well, why don't we use this as a segue to talk about the Chicago Bulls? Because we saw a big game out of Wendell Carter Jr. What do folks do with him? What do folks do with Justin Holiday? What do folks do with Jabari Parker? There is this month out, beginning of December moment where it seems like Chicago's going to get half of their team back. What does it mean for all of these guys?
I mean, it's sell high territory for them in the micro picture here. You could probably actually get a good profit for Wendell Carter. When Wendell Carter, he was available in a big money league, and I was expecting big bids, and he was my top guy that week, but I wasn't going to go as big as I was sure somebody else was going to go, and that's what happened. His stat set is lacking, and that doesn't mean it can't improve, but those holes I think will always outweigh the public perception of what he is as a rookie who's looked pretty good right now with really no impediment to playing time. You got Lauri Markkanen's return coming right around the corner. I think there's just enough confusion there. If you do own Wendell Carter, he's a shiny new toy. People are going to overvalue that. I think he would be a sell high guy. I'm going to ride with Justin Holiday all year. I wished I could have picked him up in every single league he was available. I did have him drafted in many. But he just fits, what Chicago does. He's going to, by virtue of being a healthy player, I think he's going to maintain 26 or more minutes for the rest of the year. Very good chance of playing 30 minutes per game. And, the money counters are there. The only reason I didn't pick him up in the one league that I didn't get him is I've got such an advantage in steals that he took a little hit in value there. But he's good to go. And, just a general sell high position for all of them, because when Dunn gets back and, especially a guy like Jabari Parker, he's just not good. And that's going to grate on them, whether it's defensively, injury-wise, durability, touches. He's just not good. And I think that they're going to want to get out of the Jabari Parker business as well.
I don't have a great segue to the next team on the list, but I am going to jump over to Cleveland because they had something rather unique take place this week, and that was a coach getting fired after just 6 games, and the new coach not actually wanting to necessarily be the coach and doesn't have a contract, and then Dan Gilbert throws his GM under the bus when they ask why the new coach doesn't have a contract. Game 1 under Larry Drew, Cleveland scored about 400 points, and everybody looked awesome. Game 2, they got totally shut down, and pretty much everybody looked terrible. Do you trust anyone on that team right now?
No. I mean, Dan Gilbert's an idiot.
I agree.
That's going to permeate the entire organization, and you're just not going to have anything good happen as a result of it. I mean, hopefully J.R. Smith gets traded. That would help out, like sifting through the rubbish here. Like, can Jordan Clarkson get to top 100 value? Can Chetty Osman be efficient enough to not ruin his otherwise, pretty nice potential there? I like Larry Nance, but like George Hill, I've got him all over the place because it was like starting point guard in the last round. What could it hurt, to play him? And I think he's plodding along at about a top 150 level. I haven't looked at it. But just what a mess. Rodney Hood just gets buckets. That's what he does. He can't even get buckets when there's nobody else there to shoot. So
yeah, it's rough. That was kind of what I was thinking on that front too. Another team with a new look lineup is the New York Knicks, and it's been weird. It actually happened while we were on air last week, as you may recall, and they've stuck with it now for whatever it is, 3 games, I think, since then. Frank Ntilikina had 2 games where he looked aggressive. He has since had a game or 2 where he's looked less aggressive. We've seen an oddly productive Noah Vonleh. Tim Hardaway Jr. seems great so far this year. This is like the THJ we wanted last season before all the injuries befell him. And then everybody else is like, who the hell knows? So we're getting all these panic questions about Enes Kanter. We're getting a lot of, should I pick up Mitchell Robinson's? Where do you stand with the, let me give, I guess, the names that people want to hear about. Ntilikina, Kanter, Vonleh, and Robinson, I guess, are probably the 4 guys people are interested in. I might be missing someone. Dotson.
Ntilikina is. I understood why. I mean, I had Ntilikina on rosters last year for way too long. You see the money counting potential there, and you want to believe, and then he hits you with a dud. And the Trey Burke is probably their best asset there at point guard, and he can't sort of survive the day-to-day gyrations. I don't know that David Fizdale is the right guy for this team. Like, I think he's a great assistant coach, and I think that as a head coach, he's got potential, but hitting the panic button in the first week on a bad team, and really he's going to ostracize Enes Kanter, who's really their only legitimate scorer. I mean, THJ, legitimate scorer, but like on the interior where you need that presence, he's got to be playing. So we'll see what's going to happen with those guys. I've been sensing a lot of questions about Enes Kanter because he really needed to have high volume to hit the marks he was getting ADP wise in drafts. But the player that's not hitting the radar that I think is a great representation of what New York is all about is Mario Hezonja. He sucks. Like, don't get me wrong. This is not about Mario Hezonja is good. But, man, he just seems like a guy that eventually they're just going to roll out there because while he gets numbers, he doesn't play well. And that's like a perfect combination for tanking. They're so shallow. He should be dominating. He should be getting playing time, but he's not. And so I dropped him where I had him in a bunch of places. And I'm sitting there looking at the wire going, they got 4 games this last week. He could trip and fall and make top 150 value. Why not put my marker down on this guy and see if he can, find his rhythm, which really consists of like, can people get out of his way and let him play bad basketball and get his numbers, which is what's happened in the past with Orlando and such. But yeah, I know Mitchell Robinson doesn't do anything for me right now. I think he is worthy of attention because as you've seen with JaVale McGee, big men can rack up value really quick. So if theoretically he can stay on the floor, not get too exposed and bring some consistency, low-end consistency to the table, that intrigues me a little bit. But Kevin Knox doesn't do it for me. I think that's everybody.
Oh, right. Yeah, Kevin Knox. I didn't mention
I mean,
him.
he comes back and complicates some things for guys like Vonleh, who's stepped into a productive role. But Vonleh's not good. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've now asked me about the Cavs and the Knicks. Can I take a break? Go get a beer?
Well, I got you the Kings first. I tried to soften the blow with the next couple of weirdo teams. Here's a guy that you've liked for a while. Kelly Olynyk showed a little bit of life this last week. He did have one down game, got into some foul trouble early and never really found his form. But around that game, he had, I think, 3 out of 4 decent to better than decent ball games. Can he actually hold on to his role in Miami? It seems like they're just trying stuff right now.
That's been their story for a couple years now, and I don't think that's changing. I mean, Eric Spoelstra is going to play matchups with these guys. Hassan Whiteside's been doing well-ish. Watching him against the Kings was hilarious. I think he had like 10 boards in the first quarter and some 3 blocks. He could just rack up stats quickly in the right situation. But with Bam Adebayo and Olynyk, those 3 guys are just going to get rotated as it seems fit. So, Olynyk, it's the stats set. I mean, you're looking at him and basically like, okay, 20 minutes a game right now, top 150-ish numbers. Like, that doesn't do much for the, average head-to-head guy, that's really streaming players and counting every little stat on a week-to-week basis. But compile that over the course of a roto season, he's looking at top 140, top 130 at his absolute floor. I just think it's an easy late round floor with whatever upside after that. And he also has stepped up. So it's not like he's a declining asset. I think he's sort of peaking as a player. So, yeah, I'm not even thinking about dropping Kelly Olynyk where I own him.
Yeah, and I actually grabbed him in a few spots. He's inside the top 100 over the last week. That's despite that one game where he played whatever it was, 14 minutes. Another guy who's started to finally show some signs of life is slow-mo. Kyle Anderson, his last ball game, 5 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, which is almost the exact line you wanted out of him when you drafted him. It's not all good. Obviously, the game before that, he went for 2 points and 5 boards, but 2 out of his last 3 games, he's hit 28 minutes. Are you feeling better, worse, the same? Where does slow-mo fall for you right now?
You know, if I hadn't seen the game where he returned with the flu and watched him really just keeled over, it would maybe have been different, but it makes perfect sense why he started off slow. I didn't even think about dropping him anywhere, and he's just got that glue game, stat set, whatever you want to call it. I don't see any reason not to think that he can still hit his ADP, which was right around like 70 in a lot of leagues. And then toward the end of preseason, he slipped to like 80 or 90. But like, yeah, I think he's just fine.
Yeah, he's owned in every single one of my leagues. I'd bring him up because he comes up a lot. I would be happy to scoop him, but nobody's dropped him yet. Couple of funky things here towards the end of the what's happening in the league segment. The Phoenix Suns. Eli Cobo, he's played. He's was the starting point guard in that last ball game. He looked a little bit overmatched. It was a relatively difficult opponent in San Antonio. Previous game, he had 18 and 7. I admit, I know nothing about this guy's stat set. Is there a universe where he could play his way into 12-team value?
Well, interestingly, both him and DeAnthony Melton have a decent stat set. Okobo's is more of a shooter stat set. So think like Buddy Hield without the threes. But that's what he's going to bring to the table. I think he's capable of being that Phoenix Suns, low-end player, the bad team, good stats type thing. He's got that potential, but Devin Booker is going to come back and ruin everything for everybody else. They are going to be a team in flux. They're benching Ryan Anderson right now, and that's interesting just because it's so bad for ball movement on that squad that they basically determined a guy that catches and shoots can't really play if he's not bringing something else to the table. Okobo should theoretically help that because he's not Devin Booker, jacking up 25 shots, every time he can. I'd be fine. He's definitely stashable, Okobo.
And then I guess TJ Warren was the other guy I was going to bring up on that team. It seems like he's actually been playing into a bigger role over this kind of slower. Not slower because he's actually shooting the ball well, but his minutes have been trending up.
I don't understand why people didn't like TJ Warren to begin with. We've been very like when everybody else was high on TJ Warren. Pardon me, he was. We were low on him, but he's still TJ Warren. He's still trying to dominate the ball whenever Devin Booker doesn't have it. And I think they're going to be fine with him playing that way. If anything, it just increases his value as a trade asset. So he's fine. And then I'm definitely, just to throw it out there, Michael Bridges is somebody that I want to get on that for this upcoming waiver run. Like I don't know that he's a must-add, but he has a Chris Middleton-like stat set, and it's time. He's been getting minutes underneath the radar, throughout this entire process, and that just tells me that Igor Kokoskov has belief that he can handle minutes. And so, if he's already at that stage, I just feel like probably by – it could be like January, but it could be sooner. And that's where the question comes in. Like, do you want to stash somebody now that's going to be good in January? Interesting.
I like that. That dude is available everywhere.
But the hype is starting to get there. Like, I don't think it's going to be a secret. I think the basketball monster guys know about him. I think the Roto World guys know about him. Nobody's got the cojones just yet to be like, this is a must add or a mustache guy.
Did you do I wasn't looking, but did you do the mustache?
I'm doing it right now, Dan.
Beautiful, my man. Mustache.
So, how do you get in on that? You got to have a team that's got good, healthy players, and you got to be willing to take a few hits. It's a little early, but you know how this goes, man.
Yeah, treat them
Once
like
there's blood in the water, everybody overdoes it. So sometimes you got to get ahead of the curve. So I don't know if that's this week or next, but you know, I want to make that move.
Yeah, treat them a little bit like an injury stash and don't worry too much about what happens in between. Speaking of guys that are starting to generate a tiny bit of buzz, there's an old man on that list, and his name is Jeremy Lin. I drafted that dude in a lot of places, and he looked awful the first few games of the year, but he's actually looked okay the last two. He only needs about 24 minutes. He piles up stats pretty quick. I'm surprised we didn't see more of him, but now I'm thinking maybe there was injury because Trae Young looks wildly overmatched so far this year.
This is why the first few weeks are hilarious. Like, people announced Trae Young was here. Like, the Trae Young experience. It's now. Like, you know, get those Steph Curry comparisons going. It's happening right this second. And then I watched him against the Kings, and I was like, dude, this guy doesn't even belong on the floor.
Yeah, 8 turnovers in that ball game.
He tried to nutmeg De'Aaron Fox, and I don't care. Like, yeah, you've done it a couple times to people, and that's cool. You know, show your moxie. That's fine. But I'm sorry. Like, if you can't be consistent and defend, and you know you have a propensity for turning the ball over already, come on. Like, you can't have your rookie point guard out there doing that stuff. That's where Lloyd Pierce is overly optimistic, and this is where coaches that don't play young guys, they'll point to this kind of stuff and say, hey, we're doing this guy a disservice by letting him go out there and do that stuff. And they actually are doing a disservice to Trae Young, letting him go out there and do that stuff.
So does the needle swing back a little bit now?
Well, no, I think that, Jeremy Lin's the story with Lin is going to be he'll play as many minutes as his body will let him. So if he's turned the corner and he's got his legs underneath him, yeah, absolutely. He'll come in, he'll play 25 minutes. I don't think he can crank it up past that. But he's, I think you tweeted this, he's a bit of a stat magnet. And he's absolutely what that team needs to chill out. What I saw was just terrible, terrible basketball last night. Like, I know they're the Hawks and everything, everybody's expecting them to play bad, but this was bad by those standards.
Yeah,
they can't do that. So Lin's a natural fit there. And late round value seems pretty, like a 60-75% chance to me.
Interesting. Okay, so you're equally interested
I'm
in
on
him.
Board.
All right. I thought maybe I was losing my mind on that one. How about another old guy? You know where I'm going. I think you know where I'm going. He scored 50 points. We have
that dude.
We have to do it.
I said on the waiver wire show, I said, you got to forget that he's Derrick Rose. Like, too many people are ruling him out for value when, just based on the name Derrick Rose, based on everything he's done the last 3 years. And I'm even out there joking, like, when I saw he's got 48, I was like, I don't believe you. But that's, he has gotten some physicality back. He's a little healthier. He's got a scorer's mentality.
I mean, I admit, I picked him up in 2 out of my 5 most important leagues. I have some Derrick Rose shares now.
I don't blame you, and I think that he's going to do that until they figure out what their next steps are. You're going to see Jimmy Butler on and off the floor. Andrew Wiggins hasn't been on the floor. So, I mean, that could be he's hurt. It could also be that he's not wanting to play within this circus. So there's a lot of opportunity. And I'll tell you, though, the guy that I'm probably prefer to own is Josh Okogie. He's got money counting potential. He's probably going to continue to improve all year long. I think he can do a lot of different things on the floor. I think he's kind of built in the mold of a player that Tibbs likes. Things could go south for this team really quick, and they could go young. And I mean, Derrick Rose is not, he wasn't healthy when he was young. He's not going to be healthy when he's old. So I would rather own a Okogie, but Rose, by all means, he's worth owning.
All right, I got kind of an annoying one to finish off our hot topics of the week, and that is the Charlotte Hornets, who have gone to like timeshares everywhere. They're hurting me with this stuff. I mean, we're seeing 24 minutes of Tony Parker. We're seeing Malik Monk splitting the minutes with Jeremy Lamb at times. We're seeing Marvin Williams and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist splitting the minutes. We're seeing Cody Zeller, Willie Hernan-Gomez, and sometimes Bismack Biyombo. I mean, if Batum and Kemba are getting to their 30 mark, but it seems tough for the rest of these guys. Are they going to have to settle on a lineup eventually, or is it going to be a hot hand every night?
I'm not as bothered by it because I think the guy that I own that we've, pubbed is Jeremy Lamb.
And he's hanging in there.
Yeah, I'm fine with his production and knowing that it can only go up. I think this is a case where young coach is trying to keep the front office happy. The guy that stands out is Malik Monk. He's probably getting too many minutes. And that was going to be the case when you brought in Tony Parker. And Tony Parker has something left in the tank and he's ready to go. So you're seeing those minutes pinches go up the rotation. And with the bigs are the bigs. I mean, Cody Zeller, I don't know that I would want to hang my hat on him, as a coach with the way he can't stay healthy. So, getting guys minutes at the 5 slot, that makes sense. But yeah, it's a little bit of a mess, but you know what? You weren't big on MKG. You bought Marvin Williams and you knew what you were getting there.
Yeah, last round guy.
He's on it. He's actually going to bounce back any second now. He's in a shooting slump. So if he's hanging out in your league, you might as well pick him up for the hot streak, especially in 9-cat formats. I'm fine with them. It might be a little irritating. I was much as everybody would love to see Jeremy Lamb scoring 20 a game.
Yeah, get him out there for 30. Come on, let's do this thing.
I mean, but it's coming. It's coming because he's too good to keep him out of that kind of a role.
Too big to fail. Jeremy Lamb, you heard it here. Let's take some questions from the chat room, which is, holy crap, should have looked at this sooner. A lot going on in the chat room. I've been trying to cut and paste it just in case. YouTube sometimes does this thing where they let old messages disappear on me. So I've been, every once in a while, you might see my eyes darting around. It's generally me pasting all of the questions into a Word document, and we have now 4 pages of questions. So we're going to do our best. We're going to do our best, guys. I'm really going to try. We're going to attempt to get to all these things, but if we don't, we don't. You've been warned. Next time, that'll behoove you. It'll be a little impetus to get you in that chat room a little bit sooner. Question number 1. This is Darren Collison worth keeping, or should I drop and pick up Markelle Fultz or Josh Hart in an 8-cat league? I guess 8-cat does change things a little bit, but Darren Collison's finally showing signs of life, right?
He is, but he did fall off in the last game with Tyreek Evans back. I think it's going to be a little bit of that and a little bit of what you saw when he finally went off the other day. I don't think you dropped Darren Collison.
No. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think you dropped Darren Collison. Markelle Fultz, I just don't believe in as a player. And there's just too much inconsistency, and you got stat set issues there as well. And the other guy I forget was
Josh Hart was the third name on the list.
I would love to say Josh Hart, and there was a lot of Josh Hart season long value locked in until they get rid of Rajon Rondo in LA. It's going to be a tough road for somebody like Hart to hoe because there's too many ways he can get diminished on a night-to-night basis. And the question is even if he's not getting diminished, can he get the stats to compete with a Darren Collison? So I'm gonna stick with Collison. It's not gonna be very popular, I don't think, out there. But if you want to throw caution to wind, go Josh Hart. I'd be okay with it. But there are a lot of challenges. I'd rather have a starter that's a proven commodity.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Even an 8-cat. Although none of those guys, Fultz is a little bit of a higher turnover guy, at least when he's in there. Andre says, thank you guys for the great work this offseason. Good drafts and a strong start. You got it, my man. Dan, in your leans, where you seem to show enough confidence to make me bet, Andre, you degenerate, you are 4-0. Oh, cool. I wasn't keeping track of that. Thank you, Andre. Brew is high on Jeremy Lamb. Looks like he won't get the... Oh, it's funny. This is what we just talked about. We already covered this. He's obviously holding. So let's put it into a little ranker here. Jeremy Lamb, Bogdan, or Cedi Osman?
It's going to be exactly as you read them to me. I mean, as much as I love Bogdan, Lamb's got top 50 potential, and he doesn't even really have to work hard to get there. I think Bogdan's probably more of a top 75 potential guy you're feeling good about top 100. But that knee is not something. I mean, I was looking at that knee last year and thinking that could be a problem for his career. You know, he needs better quickness, and he's got to get better money counting stat volume. You know, and he's not going to do that with a hurt knee. So I'm thinking top 100 for Bogdan.
How good can Larry Nance be?
He's a top 100 guy.
That's the usual.
All he ever is. No, I mean top 80 in Cleveland.
Brew, what are your thoughts on what we've seen from Dennis Smith Jr. so far this year? I have to be honest, I don't even know where he's at. I'm assuming it's not great.
You know, he has really, you know, just been a kind of a tease for fantasy owners. I had him taking a step forward this year, and I still couldn't draft him anywhere because of the hype. And it's the same stuff as usual, you know? So I don't know that that's going to improve this year. And Luka Doncic's presence there has definitely minimized his upside. So, yeah, I don't know that it's going to get much better. I would say if he can come out of this with a top 75 season, that's absolutely a big win for him, and I don't think he's going to do it.
Dante Exum or Jay Crowder rest of season?
So tempting to say Exum, but you know, Jay Crowder, you know what you're going to get when he's healthy, which is going to be late round value. I think he will compile that he'll compile that way better than Exum with his, you know, various explosions we'll have next year though.
Can Boban Marjanovic be a young Hassan Whiteside? I'm not even sure he's actually younger than Hassan Whiteside. And I got to look this up now.
Only at Hoopball can that question be asked.
He's older, by the way. He's older than Hassan Whiteside.
Can Boban be a young Hassan Whiteside? Like
that's great. I like that.
Like if you covered Whiteside, like, you know, in my early Kings days, and Boban are just what? No, I can't do that.
No.
No.
He is a year older, by the way. Boban is a year older than Hassan Whiteside, so probably not. You answered this next question.
How about this? I'll say this. I bet Boban can dance better than Hassan.
We need a Boban Whiteside dance-off. You heard it here first.
We do.
Can Knox kill off any of the value that Vonleh currently has? We actually touched on that earlier in the show. Thoughts on Nemanja Bjelica long-term? We've actually touched on that earlier in the show, but there is a second half to this question. Will Jaeger's preference to veterans continue to help Bjelica over Marvin Bagley?
No, because Bagley, I mean, the organization is fully 100% behind Bagley, and that's so if Bagley can, if he can earn it. The hard part with Bagley is that the only player the Kings currently have that can help him defensively is Costa Koufos, because what happens with Bagley isn't vertical, it's players going right through him. So he provides no interior presence unless he's leaping for a block. So there's a nuance there. So it really makes it hard to give Bagley big minutes. I think Bjelica, especially by virtue of being a successful free agent acquisition so far, would have the juice to hold off Bagley. But it's that other thing that's holding Bagley back. But if that doesn't exist for whatever reason, if they can somehow luck into a big man that can defend, and that's not very likely at this point, it would have to be through trade, you know, or some other means. So I think Bjelica is going to survive in a 25 to 27 minute role of high density production. But if the opposing teams, it's funny. They were rooting for the Kings to get the triple double last night for De'Aaron Fox, and I was sitting there thinking, you probably don't want that. You know, now he's all over the headlines for his triple double, and the teams are going to now really scout him out and say, okay, we got to really take the ball out of this guy's hands, and that's going to throw the Kings offense into whack. And it's kind of the same for Bjelica. No team has challenged him at all, and at the other end, he is beating up small power forwards just with easy stuff, like kind of like you play with your little brother in the school in the front yard, and you just sort of bump him off and take a shot. That's what he's winning on right now. So 25 to 27 minutes seems likely for Bjelica, but if the Kings are really successful, they start winning close to those 35 games that I think they can win if Fox stays healthy and Zach Randolph stays off the floor. Teams might look at Bjelica and go, okay, we got to play this guy off the floor, because he's kind of the one piece right now and Kings fans watching, I say nice things about Bielitsa all the time. He's the one piece that sort of makes them really dynamic. So fantasy-wise, 25 to 27 minutes of high-density production, I think that plays. Let's see him survive the upcoming regression. That will be the big determinant of his long-term value. If he survives that, he's going to be a top 80 fantasy play. If he doesn't survive that and he falls into this 23 to 24, we don't really know what that is, sort of a role, and it gets sloppy and inconsistent. You know, we know that a regular not playing with Sacramento Kings, Nemanja Bjelica, needs 30 minutes to be a top 100, top 120 guy. That's not great calculus. But, you know, if he survives that shooting slump that's coming, you know, I think he can compile his way to top 75 value this year.
We did have a breaking news story while we're on air, because that's just what happens with this show. Kevin Love opting for surgery will be reevaluated in 6 weeks. Youch. Youch.
I mean, why would he want to risk his career for that?
Yeah, that sucks. Hang on tight. I mean, what can you do, right? I mean, you can unload him for like a 6th rounder, but I don't feel like a good idea.
6 weeks. I mean, I'd have to know a little bit more about the surgery, but like, I didn't draft Kevin Love anywhere this year.
I got one love. One love. I do actually have one love.
You got to sing it, Dan. If
I know.
Say it.
Is that? Am I doing the YouTube?
Hey, no, let's get together and feel all right.
Okay, good. Yeah, we're going that direction.
What's the other direction?
I think U2 had a song called One, right? That there was this weird.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
No, it's not the same, and it's way worse.
Cherish each other.
That's right.
Cherish each other. One. All right, let's go.
More fantasy is. No, more singing. Sorry, Dan, if this is a repeat request. When is the right time to pick up Bogdan? I would say now.
Yeah,
now. Should I be worried about Marc Gasol? Would you say the Grizzlies have motivation to keep Gasol active to hopefully Gasol opt into his player option for next year? I actually think the Grizzlies, I had the over on their season win total this year. I think they're going to be okay, and I think barring a real injury, he's playing.
They're 4-2 right now.
Yep.
And, I mean, he proved himself in that regard last year. He played for that bad team. So
yeah, it was amazing. They were real bad.
I mean, when a player does that, I mean, look at his brother, too. Like, these guys just love to play. And that's when you sometimes have to look at the narratives of could be shut down and turn it on its head. Yeah, no, I'm not overly excited about, you know, owning him. I think in the one place I do, but I'm not worried about him at this point in time.
Yeah, he looks good so far. If I am pairing DeMar DeRozan and Nico Mirotic together in a 2-for-1 trade, what kind of guy should I be looking for on the way back? I would say a 2nd rounder.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's that ballpark it. I mean, we can't tell you the exact guy, but look at some 2nd rounders in your league, maybe somebody who's underperforming a tiny bit. Go snag him. Where do you see Zach LaVine going once Markkanen is back? How much of a hit does he take?
I mean, he's probably due for a little bit of a regression anyway. Couple rounds. I mean, nothing big. He's still the focal point. He's still gonna get his. Like, he's on a mission right now. And I don't think Chris Dunn or Bobby Portis or Markkanen are really going to change that too much.
Is Cedi Osman worth owning, or would you rather use that spot to stream?
Yeah, you could. I mean, I'd be good with streaming.
Yeah, I feel like this is a situation where someone just wants us to tell them we're okay with it. I think we're okay with it.
We're okay with it, but I mean, I get why people want to try to make Cedi Osman work. Like, there's nothing stopping him. He is the apple of management's eye. He has potential, you know, like,
yeah, very true.
Real basketball potential. Like, I understand why you would want to try that. He just has to shoot better.
Yeah, it's very true.
He has to shoot the basketball in the hoop.
Into the hoop. Put it through the hoop, not just touching the bottom of the net. If you were going to sell high on some of these Sacramento Kings, what are some potential like ballparky targets? If you were going to try to sell Bjelica, Fox, who would you be looking to target on the way back? Top 40, top 50?
If I could get top 100 for Bjelica, I'd probably do it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, because otherwise it's not worth it. Like, I'd rather see where this goes. Like, can he have a huge jump in block and steal rate? And, you know, just now that he's got the freedom that he hasn't had in past locations, can they hide him on defense? I mean, there's ways, especially if I'm projecting him at 25 to 27 minutes at top 75 value. What if he gets 30? You know, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, they got too many players they want to develop, but yeah, no, I need a top 100 player to get off the, you know, or to be, you know, the uncertainty of Bjelica to want to get off that.
What about Fox?
Fox, I'm not going to sell. I mean, first of all, you could probably sell him for a top 75 guy right now, but his numbers, you know, there's areas that he's struggling in. And, you know, a savvy fantasy owner is going to look at that and say, yeah, but. Yeah. And so what are you really going to get from that? And I think there's more value to be had. And like, as the team has enough examples of when you go away from Fox, things go bad. And when you go with him, things go good. And everybody sort of coalesces around, this is De'Aaron Fox's team, not Willie Cauley-Stein's team. It's not, you know, it's not a share the ball team. It's De'Aaron Fox. And once people figure that out, now you're looking at 20 plus points, you know, 8 assists, kind of like John Wallish-like numbers. And he has untold upside. I think he will learn how to shoot, and he can get up and jam on you. So that's going to help with the field goal percentage. I mean, there's a lot of upside there. I'm not selling that.
Did Thibodeau just need D Rose to do something like this before he threw more minutes at him without getting grumbles from the higher ups? Is he a keep, or do I try to sell high after a 50-point game?
Sell, Mortimer, sell.
Good reference there on that one. I like that. E'Twaun Moore, is he a 12-team guy, or is this an Anthony Davis being out thing?
No, he's a 12-team guy. He's a plotter. You know, head-to-head owners might not like it and might not want to deal with it, but he will finish inside the top 125 this year, 8 and 9 cat.
Do you like him more than Old Man Marv or Jabari Parker?
I do, because it's like, you know what you're going to get with him.
Yeah.
And that makes that easy.
Certainty is a very helpful thing in fantasy world. Buddy Hield or Karis LeVert? 8 cat.
Oh, Buddy Hield, come on.
They're just trying to needle you now, I think.
Who's needling who?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, it's funny when Karis LeVert doesn't have a good game, how quiet it gets out there.
He's going LeVertical.
I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie hit a game-winning shot in overtime and didn't even hear a word about it.
Game-tying and game-winning, by the way.
Yeah, oh, he had a game-tying too? I didn't get to see it. It was
awesome.
I watch a lot of Brooklyn Nets basketball.
I know you do.
And I love it. I love that. You know what? If they got rid of D'Angelo Russell, I would put him in the playoffs. And also, what a backcourt you would have with Dinwiddie and LeVert.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, man,
I like
that would be...
I like
playoffs.
That. Yeah. They still got a shot. Maybe they'll figure it out before D'Lo throws another no-look pass straight out of bounds. Which is funny because the next question in the chat room is, thoughts on D'Lo this year? Is it a breakout season? I just traded he and Cantor for Eric Bledsoe in my 12-team league. I think that's a good trade.
Oh, that's a great trade, especially with the way Cantor's going to stall out here for a little bit. Yeah, no, Russell... Even when he plays well, you have like 5 plays where you just go, what on earth are you doing out there? The no-look passes that, like, he creates a no-look pass when a no-look pass isn't needed and throws it at his, the guy in the corner's shins. He then has to collect the ball and fire up a brick. That kind of stuff happens all the time, and it's not going to change. I don't think he, in an 8-cat league, finishes. He's definitely not in the top 75. He's going to be like top 75 to top 100 in an 8-cat league. In a 9-cat league, that's going to be like top 125 to 150.
Slow-mo versus TJ Warren.
I'll take slow-mo.
Would you trade Karl Anthony Towns for Anthony Davis? Oh, God, yes. I'll take AD.
Man, I love those leagues where stuff like that goes down. Just
give me all that AD.
It's just like
they're keeping him fresh here early. Don't panic, folks. I mean, everybody's like Anthony Davis misses all the games and James Harden is super healthy, but I get it. Cat is pretty healthy, but damn, AD.
How have fortunes swung? Cat was, people were jumping off a Cat a week ago. Couldn't get further away from him.
I told everybody to send out Dame Lillard for Cat trades. I hope they did.
I did catch wind of a lot of people who got Cat in that week.
And now they're feeling a little bit more spry. Choose two of... Oh, I don't think I even need to ask you this one.
Meow.
Is your cat small? What's the line? Big or in between? I forget the exact line.
Somebody tells people in the middle of this video, "You're so stupid."
That's a great scene. We're talking about, of course, Always Sunny, guys. Go watch the
Kitten Mittens.
The original Kitten Mittens. I don't need to ask you this question. I can answer this one for you. Pick two: Bogdan, Justin Holiday, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA is the guy out on that one. Do you think Noah Vonleh is for real? I believe your answer to that is probably not. I did a whole thing on that question on Fantasy NBA Today yesterday, just like saying, listen, if he holds 28 to 30 minutes, you're looking at the Tristan Thompson, like a 10 and 10, and then you hope for a steal, basically, in that mix. Am I mostly on point with that?
I mean, he had a big defensive explosion the other night. You hope for that.
Yeah, but that seems...
But that's just...
out of character. It's out of
also,
character.
we were talking about this in the Cos and Brew show earlier today. It's just like, there is a sloppy basketball right now where you're going to see random defensive statistics. It's one of the reasons I'm holding back a little bit on Bielitsa. It's just junk ball right now across the league. Yes,
I love it. Boban versus Montrezl Harrell. I think the answer to this one is Montrez. Should I hold Jaren Jackson Jr.? I'm going to assume your answer to that one is yes. You just jump in if I say something that's not crazy. Okay, here's what
Dan, you know my thoughts. I'm going to take the next 5 minutes to show off. You just rattle them off.
Yeah, you just show your guns over there. Just like flex for a minute.
Oh, you are so humble bragging right now. You and your picture on Twitter with your wife and your kid, and you guys are all flexing.
My wife is strong.
You guys look in shape.
Yeah, well, I do. I roll around on the ground.
I showed that to Jackie, and she's like, well, diet starts tomorrow. We're exercising.
You know what my wife does?
Look at the Bespresses. We're trying to keep up with the Bespresses.
I have a gym mat. That's it. And I do stuff on the ground over here. I was told by a physical therapist. Gosh, But Jess has got some cannons going right now. She's in better shape than I am. She does the 30-minute Jillian Michaels thing. So after the kid goes to bed at 9:30, she exercises from 9:30 to 10. My wife is a lunatic, by the way. She's at the hospital doctoring for like 11 hours and then goes and exercises at 10 o'clock at night.
Dan, coverage, you outkicked it.
Way. I'm like, I kicked it straight through the uprights from the opposite end of the field, and I'm still chasing it out of the stadium.
Like Gus, the friendly field goal kicking mule.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, good Lord. All right, here's a question where I actually need to get your opinion on. What do you think of Rondé Jefferson is doing the rest of the year? This show is absolutely going in the best of hoopball video.
He's chilling, dog. He's chilling. He's just chilling. He'll be just fine.
Oh, God.
RHJ
almighty.
for life. No, I'm good with it. He'll be fine.
All right. Is it time to drop Josh Hart for Zach Collins?
Hell yeah. Do it.
All right. Interesting.
That's all. I mean, look, he got one rebound the other day. Like, that sucks. But he also backed it up with, 2 threes and a block?
Yeah.
As long as the cash counters are there, I'm happy with it.
He's Broloing out right now, Zach Collins.
Yeah, but you can't do that at his age.
No.
You gotta Brolo out when you're our age.
Yeah, you got to wait to Brolo out. Never go full Brolo. I dropped Dwayne Dedmon everywhere. He's stinking it up. What do you think? I'm actually okay with it. He's kind of boring.
God, the Hawks are bad.
Yeah.
Alex Len hasn't turned a corner. I mean, I own him in a couple places because it's the Hawks, but both those guys are going to, Dwayne Dedmon, top 125. I'm good with that.
I have Vooch and Cantor. They've been dope at times, but both have uncertain roles. Should I try to move one for something more certain?
Vooch, I believe, has been producing first-round value.
He's dominating.
So And look, they need him in Orlando, and Aaron Gordon is not good. So,
he's gone Blake Griffin very early in his career. It's really upsetting.
I mean, it's really hard to watch. So I think like Vooch is like necessary there. I don't know that they're going to work hard to move him. Look, selling him at a first round level, if you can get a top 25 asset, by all means do it. If you can get a top 40 asset, I think it's a discussion worth having. But I also like the idea of just seeing, letting it roll a little bit.
Yeah. Just to see how long he can give you first round value. I came to see Dan's unmade bed with the cameras tilted up. That's right. I'm on to you, schmoes. I've got this whole thing figured out now. I traded Lillard for Cat last week. Now my teams revolve around Jokic and Cat. Oh, my God. Well done. Well done. God. I don't know how you had Jokic and Lillard on your team to begin with, but holy crap.
Well, you could get Jokic in the late rounds and then like maybe Lillard on the turn, but my God.
I would assume a 10-team league would be my guess. Still, that's a great trade. Right. Nicely done. Aaron and Dan, love the show. Thanks, Beasley. What's up, man? That's just giving us a little props there. Appreciate that. Then some discussion takes place. There is a heated Lonzo Ball versus De'Aaron Fox discussion going in my fantasy league message board right now, and it is outstanding. Enjoy it. Enjoy it, because everybody's got to always yell about something. Brew, who do you think is better in 5 years while I find the actual next question on this list?
Oh, it's De'Aaron Fox, and it's really funny. Like, the Kings fans have had fun with that whole thing because and I'll just add fuel to the fire, because Lonzo Ball has been ducking De'Aaron Fox for his entire career. Like, Lonzo Ball is afraid to play De'Aaron Fox, and at least that's what Kings Twitter has told me. And, but I'm to me it's an easy one. De'Aaron Fox is going to be a lot better than Lonzo Ball.
Perfect. You bought me just enough time to find the next question. Hey, Brew and Dan, would you give up a top 60 asset for Otto Porter, a top 75 for Hayward? And there was a question about Kevin Love, but I'm going to leave that off since now he's out for super long term. Would you buy Otto Porter with a top 60? Would you buy Gordon Hayward with a top 75?
I would buy Otto Porter for a top 60. They're just like, they can't trade anybody. They have to learn how to get along. I mean, Scott Brooks is probably the guy that goes. John Wall is the guy that probably, if anybody falls off, due to injury, it's probably him. I think top 60 is, I wish it was top 70.
Yeah, you get into a different chunk of guys after that. I know.
Yeah, top 60, you're putting some money in the middle, which is fair. I mean, Porter, I don't know if this is 8 or 9 cat, and it kind of does make a difference. Like 9 cat, no questions asked, get in there and do that. 8 cat, you're looking at you're probably jumping like 20 slots by picking him up. Is the risk worth it? I mean, I like climbing up the ranks. There's just a different valuation there.
Yeah. Some love being thrown to the chef here at Hoopball for his fine work. We will certainly back that.
Check
big
out
way.
Zach Bodain's stuff too.
Yeah, check out all of our guys' stuff. These guys are so good.
But sometimes we got so many good contributors here. But like when I read, I'm like it's just something about something stands out. And Zach's stuff is excellent right now.
Love it. Are you still high on Jeremy Lamb? We covered that earlier in the show. We had another question on D'Angelo Russell. We knocked that out earlier in the program as well. Dinwiddie or Jeremy Lin rest of season? I mean, I think you got to take the guy who can stay healthy, right?
Yeah, it's Dinwiddie.
Yeah. Zach Collins is worth holding. We've actually covered that already as well. Would you drop Dinwiddie or Brook Lopez to pick up Bogdan? That's an interesting question. I might drop Dinwiddie just because Russell is still healthy.
It's
a good question.
It's a good question. Here's the thing, though, is Bogdan's knee is, I mean, I just don't know if rest was going to, solve what he's dealing with there. So, I also think that the Nets are going to, at the middle of the season, really take a look at who do they want to keep. Do they want to keep Dinwiddie, because I think Dinwiddie's going to get a decent little deal, upcoming. It might not be a huge deal, but I think it's going to be enough to make them think. So
shouldn't Phoenix just mortgage the farm to go get Spencer Dinwiddie?
Yeah, but they're stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just the Phoenix Suns. Like, sorry, Phoenix. Prove me wrong.
There you go. Ricky Rubio is the last question that I'm going to be taking from the chat room. Apologies to those who may have gotten a few things in here after the fact. We are right at the 1 hour mark for the recorded version of this. Last few questions there. Again, apologies. There was one half of another article one question that we didn't touch on. Would you give up a top 75 guy for Gordon Hayward?
No, I'm not. I think Hayward's going to have a really rough year. I think that these young guys are going to continue to elbow him out of the way. Also, Spencer Dinwiddie's a top 80 play so far this year.
Is that 8 or 9?
That's 8, but he's usually equally as good at 9.
And the last question is, are you worried about Ricky Rubio? By the way, this is not a time warp. This is 2018 now.
I'm not really worried about him in the grand scheme of things. I think he's going to be a top 80 to 108 cat play and shave a round or two off for 9 cat. And that's not good. I mean, I guess I think I had him in a little bit ahead of that in the B150, thinking he could compile those numbers and stay at the back end of the middle rounds. But this was sort of expected. Now, keep in mind as well, this might work out for him. I don't know if we got an update on Donovan Mitchell, but Mitchell has looked banged up to me. He ended the season with the foot thing, and he sort of, limped around the preseason a little bit. He didn't look explosive in the first few games. I know his numbers sort of came around, but, maybe he's a little dinged up right now.
And before we sign off, Brew, we got a lot of stuff going on at Hoop Ball. We gave everybody an hour straight of maximum content. I think it's time that we're allowed to push a few things. In-season premium membership. What do people get with that, and how can they get it?
Well, I think as we pitched earlier, you go Premium on the homepage, or basically any page of the website, and you just click into in-season membership, and that's going to tell you how to get, or what you get and how to get it. As far as what you get, it's kind of just this expansive thing that continues to grow. We have pregame and postgame coverage, both and many different mediums. You got your pickups article, which is your standard I don't have time for nothing type of a deal. Just give it to me straight, and I don't want to talk about it. Then if you want to talk till your heart is done talking about fantasy sports ever, there are nightly shows which are staffed by our most excellent group of contributors, including yours truly, Dan Vesperis. The weekends, we've got a waiver wire show that I do. We have DFS picks from John Schifferly. We have periodicals, which I thought was just a fancy sounding name for articles that come out every once in a while. But we have a weekly report from Eric Ong, who's very good at what he does. And then the aforementioned Zach Bodine does dynasty stuff. And so for dynasty owners, this is just a must have. We have a start-sit tool. We have a streaming schedule by, again, Dan Vesperis. You put that together. We have these smart depth charts that are done by Solomon, who puts just like all of his heart and soul into these depth charts. So it's not just depth charts. There's free agency information, as well as just kind of little tidbits floating around the depth charts. It's really good stuff. Projections that are powered by the Brewski 150.
That's a lot of stuff.
It's absurd what we're doing for premium right now, but we really think that that's the future. And if you notice around the industry, they're beefing up their premium coverage, because Happy learned to putt. And
Nicely done. Nicely done. By the way, you can also use the coupon code Haymaker.
That's true.
Because I forced Brew to have a whole bunch of coupons.
And also, behind the scenes, we have this big technological initiative that's going to probably double the amount of power that our tools have. So
yes, more power.
It's nice.
He is Aaron Brewski. That is the premium tool. The show that he was mentioning, the nightly podcast, they're an awful lot like this one, but we do it every single day. So if you have questions, you will always get them answered in those. We don't just get to the ones that we get to in an hour. If the show is either, if it's 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes. If it's 90, it's 90. If you got a premium question.
Of the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, down
with the way it's growing, one day we'll probably have to like figure something out.
We'll have 2 shows running simultaneously. Simulcast, multiple chat rooms, somebody answering the questions in the printed word while others talk about it. But that's the future. Right now, you get everything answered. That's part of that premium thing. Use the Haymaker code. Get another $3 off. Again, that's at hoop-ball.com. For those of you watching us live or on YouTube, you can see our Twitter handles.
You can also put your question in early. Sorry to jump in. You can put your question in early, not even be there for the show. Go back and watch the show and get it answered at that point in time.
That's right. Get it back later. There's our Twitter handles. At Dan Vespers, at Aaron Brewski, at Hoopball Fantasy is where the blurb feed is going. It's what I noticed that Kevin Love was out forever. That's where I saw it. That will do it. That's how you come to the end of a very action-packed show. Coming up next week on Fantasy NBA Today, the era of the guest continues. We will talk to a representative that covers the Dallas Mavericks. His name is Tyler Watts. We're going to talk to Joe Garcia, who covers the San Antonio Spurs, and so much more. We got paws in pies over here. That's how we do it at Fantasy NBA Today. Thanks, Brew.
Oh, no, thank you, Dan. The pleasure has been all mine.
Did I make you at any point during that show? Did we de-grump you?
You know what? I was faking grumpy. I'm happy all the time.
He's Aaron Brewski. I'm Dan Vespers. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Again, apologies to the last few questions that trickled in. Throw them at us in the forum, hoop-ball.com. Click on the forums tab. Somebody will hit them up there. So long.